Welcome to Thought for the Week. It's the start of the week, it's Monday, and if you're new to me and this channel, this is when we normally do our Thought for the Week. And today I'm going to plant something in your mind. Comfort zone. Comfort zone. Do you ever give your comfort zone a thought? Do you ever think, I'm not going to do that because it's way out of my comfort zone? Or do you think, I'm going to do that so that I can get out of my comfort zone and do something that I wouldn't normally do? How does your brain work? Interesting, isn't it? Well, I didn't give it much thought really until today. I was out for a walk with a dog walking friend of mine who I met recently on my kind of dog walking tours that I do every day in the countryside around here, and she's really lovely. And we were having a chat, and she was telling me that she is going to be doing one of the Camino walks. And she said she's always been really quite competitive and very focused and very driven, but now she's had a few health issues. She has to be very wary and a lot more cautious and a lot more careful about what she decides to do, and also not to put herself under the kind of clock watching time thing. She said, I'm not gonna walk 20 kilometers a day. I'm going to just see what I can do. And if I can do 4 or 5 one day, I will, maybe 12 another day, whatever it is. She said, I'm not going to plan it in a way that I used to do because of my new health issues. And she was just basically saying that she's going to take each day as it comes, sort of immerse herself in the moment, enjoy it, and not make it into a race. And I think that's really interesting because it's a kind of concept that I would probably do. I mean, my biggest fear would be putting myself under pressure, or somebody putting me under pressure and saying, right, Lisa, if you're going to run the London Marathon, something I would never do, by the way, then we expect you to do it under such and such or in such and such a time. Because I would always set myself up to fail. I would always think to myself, I'm never going to be able to do that. Why would I do that? Why would I try and run something under a certain amount of time or even walk it? But today I was thinking, actually, when she was talking about doing this Camino, and she was going to do the original one, that she would plan, which was going to go through the Pyrenees in France, really steep climbs and descents and stuff. And she said, you know what, I know that I can't put myself under that kind of pressure. I've got to do something that works for me within my physical ability now. So she said, I'm going to change to the one in Portugal that goes to Santiago de Compostela, is along the coastal path, is a lot more, there's not such steep gradients. And she said, and I can just take my time. And she said, I am going to do it in my time and book places en route so that I don't have everything pre-planned and I don't put myself under that kind of pressure. And I thought that's a really brilliant way of doing things. And as I was talking to her and I was sort of reassuring her and saying, that's a brilliant idea, excellent, well done, I thought to myself, do you know what, Lisa? Now that you're a lot fitter, and now that, now I can actually walk, and I can walk without getting tired, and I really enjoy it, and I don't ache, touch wood, and I can keep going. I thought I could actually give myself a little, very doable challenge of doing something like, I don't know, walking the South Downs, which is very near where I live, or doing sort of like a 10K walk or a 5K walk, and perhaps doing something that's going to be for charity, maybe to do with cancer or autism, which is very close to my heart really. And as I kind of left our walk that we had together and our discussion afterwards, a sit down and a coffee, which is always a nice part of it, I really began to think, you know what, I'm going to look up and see if there are any organised tours that I could do, walks that I could do, or hikes that I could do, which would give me the confidence to be able to do something for charity. Not last week actually, but the week before, I joined a little hiking group for a walk, a local walk around here. It was probably about 4 kilometers, maybe a bit more. It was on quite a busy road to start with. Then it went through a sort of very quiet dirt track country lane, and then through fields, through bluebell woods, and then out the other side, across the road, over to a big quarry, a big lake, and then up through the woods, and then out again to pretty much where we started. And a year ago, no way would I have been able to have done that. A year ago, I could have probably made it from where my car was parked, probably just up to the country lane. I mean, I really couldn't have done it. Now I feel like I do want to set myself a little challenge, but an achievable challenge. A challenge which is just going to take the best part of an afternoon or the morning or something like that. And I think I'm going to do it. And I would say to you, talking about comfort zones, have you done something in your life which you thought you'd never be able to do, and you've done it? Now, some people do parachute jumps, some people bungee jumping, scuba diving, whatever it might be, they do it. An Ironman, a marathon, a triathlon, whatever it is. Now, I do love scuba diving. And the last time I went scuba diving was probably about 20 years ago. And if I make a little bit of money, which I hope I do one day, I'm not at the moment, but maybe one day, I might take myself off on a little holiday where I can go and do some scuba diving again. Do a little refresher course once I'm out there, because I'm really only a fair weather scuba diver. I love scuba diving in the Indian Ocean or in the South Pacific or the Caribbean. I'm not really a scuba diver that would consider going scuba diving in the freezing cold Scottish lake or loch or off the British coast. I just don't think I could do that. Well, I could if it was pretty warm. I couldn't do it if the water was pretty warm. I couldn't do it in cold water. I'm not a cold water person. I think that probably comes from growing up in the tropics, in Sri Lanka. I don't know, but I've been used to warm, lovely, clear water. And I was very fortunate to learn scuba diving in the Maldives. So I had sort of 30 meters of absolute pristine visibility. At 30 meters down, the water was still about 27 degrees, something like that. Didn't have to wear a wetsuit or any kind of scuba skin or anything like that. And it was absolutely magical. And that is kind of something that was outside of my comfort zone. Well, actually, no, I've always loved swimming, but I just found that doing scuba diving for me was just the perfect sport. I was weightless. I'm positively buoyant, or at least I was positively buoyant when I had more fat on me. It'd probably be a bit different now. And I mean, I wouldn't walk down my street on my own, when I was kind of like 30, 25, 30, whatever it was when I first learned to scuba dive. But I did go scuba diving in the middle of the night, well, in the pitch black, about an hour away from this island that we were staying on in the Maldives, on a little wooden boat. We just kind of moored out by this reef and jumped off, and it was pitch black. Now, I don't think I would, I don't know whether I would do that now. And since I've had children, it feels like it's slightly trepidatious, a bit dangerous for me, putting myself at risk a bit too much. I mean, at night, the creatures come out to feed, and we're talking bottom dwellers, we're talking sharks, we're talking barracuda, lionfish, everyone, all of the sort of creatures under the sea, they come out at night to feed. And it's quite a spectacular and eerie space. It feels like you're in outer space, in fact. And all you can see if you've got this torch, or you're holding a torch, or you've got a torch on you, is this one channel of light that goes out, and that's it. Everything else beyond that channel of light that's funneled down this channel of light from the torch, from the bulb, is completely pitch black. And it is quite scary and eerie, because you're literally almost landing on things before you realize they're there. You should always be shining your torch down so that you can see what's beneath you, because that's the most dangerous place. And when I was scuba diving at night, there was actually a white-tipped reef shark swimming underneath me, which was arched back, and it was swimming quite fast backwards and forwards, which meant that it was getting very agitated. So we moved away. I would love to go scuba diving again, which is what I'm going to do, definitely. I think I'm going to set myself an aim. I'm going to be 60 at the end of this year, and I think I'll set myself an aim to get out of my comfort zone next year and go scuba diving and take a scuba diving holiday. The comfort zone I want to get out of this year, as I'm getting fitter, as I said, is to do something like a 5 or 10K walk. I know it doesn't sound much to some of you, but to me, going from walking 2 minutes to the end of my street, I used to be out of breath and I was feeling very, very heavy. It was like, I was carrying two check-in suitcases with me everywhere I went with the amount of weight that I've now lost. So it would be really nice to do some of those things that I've always been too scared to do because I would be the one that was lagging behind everybody else. When now I know that I can do it and I have the willpower, the staying power, the fitness, and the lightness of foot compared to what I used to have, and I could do it. So watch this space and let me know what you would like to do to get out of your comfort zone, because I'd be really interested. Or have you done something recently where you've been really proud of yourself because you've got out of your comfort zone? Yeah, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Really exciting, isn't it? Building confidence, even if it's just a little tiny little centimetre, little inch at a time. Building confidence is what it's all about. And I really feel like now I could actually tackle things like that and do it. And that's really exciting. So I hope you're feeling the same, or maybe I've given you a little bit of inspiration in your day, a little bit of a sort of skip in your step to feel the same and do the same. So yeah, let me know what you will do, to get outside of your comfort zone, something you've always wanted to do. Please don't do anything dangerous, and please don't try and do anything, that you will regret, but maybe something that's just a little bit more than what you would normally do. Let me know. Lots of love. Have a great week. Bye bye.